And for today's thing here, I just thought I'd just kind of fill you guys in on what's happening here. The big dilemma is that my mother-in-law's house is sinking into the ground. So that's the gist of it. And it just kind of poses a unique situation of how housing is in Japan in general. It's kind of a tough place to build a house, of course. It's an island and lots of earthquakes. And you know, you run into a lot of trouble with just houses in general not lasting. You know, houses in the States last for a long time, and we work really hard to, you know, keep them going, keep doing repairs so that they can stand the test of time and, you know, become kind of cool little marks of your family's history in some ways. In Japan, it's kind of the opposite. It's sort of like a no-brainer that your house is going to fall apart in 20 years, and you just have to kind of deal with it. So most people just tear the house down and build a new one in the same plot of land. Or they might go through the process of doing some reform work, but a lot of times they just, you know, figure, screw it, I want to have a whole brand new house, so they go ahead and just tear the whole thing down and build a new one. And like I said, it's pretty common. The neighborhood where my mother-in-law lives, like all the surrounding houses have all been reformed. There's only like a couple that are from the same time period as when that house was built. And this house was built about 30 years ago. So it's well past its due to be, you know, torn down and done something to it. So, but we've been dealing with it, having trouble for a while, but the actual ground underneath is just sunk. And so there's not a whole lot holding the house up, and you can't really see so much like actual damage to the house itself when you just look at the inside. The outside does have big pockets of holes and giant cavernous kind of side seam that's split open along the side. So we've been trying to figure out, you know, where can she live? What can we do? We want to, you know, get the house destroyed. Do we build a new one? We also have the dilemma of the fact that the Shinkansen, or the bullet train, is coming to Kyushu. Yay! So, and it's supposed to be coming super close to that house. And if that's the case, then in, you know, I don't know when they're going to do the stupid train. They keep changing the year it's going to come. I think it's like another 7 or 8 years. But when it does come, that real estate's going to be really popular and expensive. Whereas selling now is, you know, like a joke. So that's been always a dilemma to try to figure all those things out. So we've been dealing with a lot of those things, but I think one of the things that's kind of interesting about some of the culture in Japan is that when you build a house, you have to go through the trouble. The company that's doing the construction work, it's their job to go to all the neighbors and give them a gift to tell them, sorry, but we're going to make a lot of noise for the next few days. So I guess it's pretty common for them to give laundry detergent. And it's usually just, you know, one little box. It only costs like maybe $2, $3 maybe. But they give that to all the neighbors to say sorry. When a house is finished being built, it's really common to have a monk come and bless the space before construction begins. And then at that time, little mochi or rice cakes are thrown to the people in the neighborhood and friends who are there to cheer on the construction. So it's, you know, can you guys hear those birds? Oh my God, we have so many birds here. It's like, it's so beautiful. No, I'm kidding. I think they're cute. Actually, seriously, I don't mind them, but my husband, he's very mad at the birds. So we have a lot of them, little tiny guys, and they're all frantic trying to build their nests. And yeah, their favorite place is right by our window. So I apologize if you can hear them, but so that's one of the kind of cool things if you get a chance to see that, to be a part of the, you know, kind of ceremony that goes with the new construction of a home. The other thing is that, you know, most homes these days are very modern. You don't see very many that are very Japanese in style. It's usually all Western in so many aspects. Western, you know, space for dining areas and living areas. And then usually there's one room that still has a tatami mat in it. And that's like the traditional tatami room that you use for accepting guests into your home, for example. You'd usually have them come to that room, and you know, official meetings and business, family business and such could go there. If you have guests from out of town that need a place to stay, they usually stay in the room where there's tatami mats, and then you lay the futon down on the ground for them to sleep on. But most people actually sleep in real beds. Not very many people. I don't know. Maybe it's maybe half and half. You know, there's some people who all have their own little beds and bedrooms. There's other families where they all sleep in the same room together. That's how our family is. We sleep in our tatami mat room, and we have our futons on the ground, and my husband and I and my 2 daughters, we all sleep in the same space to save space, because it's hard to have room for everybody to have a bed. You know, if boys and girls do have their own room, usually they share with their siblings. It's really rare to find a family that has enough room to have one room for every child. If they're of opposite sex, then you work a little harder to try to make sure that they have their own space. But boys and girls, they're kind of forced to all just be together and survive. So, but that kind of gives you, I mean, I'll try to figure out a way maybe to kind of show you guys some houses. Maybe someday I'll give you guys a tour of ours. I don't know, to clean a lot before I do that, right? But our house is unique. My father-in-law, when he built this house, it's also an English school, a tutoring school, and we help students go study abroad and stuff like that. And his intention was that he had imagined in his head that lots of foreigners would be visiting, and so he purposefully had a house constructed that has a very high ceiling compared to most Japanese homes, and the kitchen, the countertop is a lot taller than it is in some traditional Japanese homes. I know when I try to wash dishes at my mother-in-law's house, that's a more traditional kind of height, and I'm like crouching over to kind of do stuff, but here it's more of a good standard height. And I'm not that tall. I'm just 5'6" maybe. I don't even know how tall I am. No, I'm not 5'6". No, I don't know how tall I am. In feet and inches, I have no idea. I have to do my math. I know in centimeters I'm 166, so yeah, I'll do some math on that. But anyways, so we have big space and big kind of environment, which a lot of people don't have. The house is more small, so maybe if I get a chance, I'll show you guys. I'll do a tour or something. I don't know. Yeah, but